All right, it is 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the monthly board meeting for July, the Fox River Countryside Fire Rescue District. Tracy, take the roll, please.
Trustee Gaffney.
Here.
Trustee Kennedy.
Here.
Trustee Manheim.
Here.
Trustee McManus.
Here.
And Trustee Sieffert is absent.
Thank you. Will you please rise for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Is there any public comment?
Yes.
Would you please state your name?
Pam Turriff. I live in the neighborhood. We had a party on Saturday, a picnic in the hood, and we invited the fire people to come, and it was wonderful. They did. They brought the truck, they brought the ambulance, they brought appetites. They actually played volleyball with us, and then they did the big fire hose thing off the top of it. The kids were just enthralled. They just loved it, and their parents as well. So thank you for allowing them to come. We also brought our leftovers over and gave them to you. So hopefully we can do this again, make it kind of another thing. And I'd like to even talk to you about doing some other things that we could do as a community together in the future.
May I respond?
You may.
I talked to some of the guys today. They also had a very good time. Thank you for the things that you brought by. We appreciated that very much. And we also talked about some things you might like to do in the future. So
Oh, good.
we may reach out to you.
Great. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. All right, that will take us to our reports to the board. On speakerphone, we have James. So James, we'll let you get started with the financial report.
Sounds good. Good evening, everybody. Let's walk through the 2 months into June 30th, 2026. Just starting with some revenue highlights, again, 17% of the way through our fiscal year. We've collected 41% of our total revenue budget. Taxes came in on the number 2.6 million, so exactly 50% of the first installment received from the counties. Ambulance fees look good. We're 1% better than where we are in the year, 317,000, or 18% of the budget collected there. No PPRT to date. Interest looks good, also at 19,000 collected. We're at 18%, and again, no debt proceeds or sale of assets. Let's look at the next slide. Again, it's going to be percent of budget. Versus last year, taxes again in at 50%, just down 2%. That's just delays in collections. We shouldn't worry too much about that. Just making sure we hit that budget number in total. Interest income's in at 18%. Again, that's down just based on interest rates being down. And again, our balances now are lower after we spent money on the station bill. Ambulance fees in at 18%. That's up 35%. So that looks very good 2 months in. And some other smaller revenue streams, bringing us to almost $3 million. In terms of revenue, 7.3 million is the budget, so we're at about 41%, pretty much where we were last year at this point. So look at the revenues, again, in terms of the distribution, taxes lead the way at 89%, interest 0.6, fire recovery 0.1, ambulance fees 11%. In terms of the month of June, very good month for us, 212,000, that's the best month we've had in the last 3 years. Brought our total to 317. Again, we're averaging about 159,000 a month. That's a beat on the budgeted average of 144, and last year's 12-month average of 121. So we flip into some expenditures, 17% of the way through. We expense 11% of the budget. Operations look good. We're at 12%, so 5% under where we are in the year. Salaries, our main expenditure drivers, in at 13% on 4 payrolls paid. Contractual services at 9%. Vehicle maintenance and fuel at 11%, capital outlay and debt service at 8%, and this only contains a bond interest payment of about $155,000. So look at the expenditures again, line by line versus last year. Percent of budget column looks very good to start. Again, personnel or salaries, our main driver, that's in at 13%, up 8%. Outside of that, it's just some pub ed that went out the door early, so that's why you see that skew. That's a very small dollar amount, though, so that doesn't have a major impact on operations overall. GEMT, they are billing us, again, quarterly now. So that's something just to keep in mind. You'll see a payment that's going to be owed to them soon at the end of this month. And also we are continuing to monitor what's going on at the federal level with possible caps on GMT. They're trying to propose a cap to Medicare rates. Again, this is something that may be a carve out for local governments, so a lot of politics involved in this one, so we'll just see how this goes over the next few months. But we are advising everyone, if you're with PBS or EMSMC, they're keeping you in the loop as to how to contact reps and put a letter in, as it is important to keep this revenue stream going for us. Remember, that's on those Medicaid runs. Difference between paying at a Medicare cost of hundreds of dollars versus the thousands of dollars we receive now is a big difference. So good for us to continue to advocate to continue the GMT program at those cost report levels. Outside of that, everything pretty much at or below that 17%, 648,000 spent for ops, 5.5 million is the budget. We're at 12%, up 9 over last year. And again, just some debt service interest out the door. That's only 9% of that budget. Look at the year-to-date expenditures. Personnel is 86%, pub at 0.3, train travel 0.3, contractual services 7, materials and supplies 3, station 0.7, vehicle maintenance fuel 3%. So after 2 months, again, we're going to have a nice surplus. We've got half the tax money in, but only 2 months of expenditures. Surplus of about 2.2 million. We started with 2.4, so about 4.6 million in ending fund balance. Again, this is going to look good, and we're going to continue to monitor this as we go. You can see last year we had the station built, so that's why you see a deficit. The year before that, we were at 1.7 million 2 months in, so that's a nice increase from 2 years ago. As we strip out our capital debt service and look at these numbers, just on a pure operating basis, you can see we're up a little bit from last year. Last year we were at 595, this year 648. But again, a nice uptick in revenues to cover that spread. 2.1 million the year before, just north of 2 million. So again, where revenues are outpacing expenditure increases year on year. Looking at investments, just about 4 million across all funds. Again, still getting good interest rates. The Fed talking about rate hikes versus rate cuts. So for us, that pretty much bodes well for all of our investments. Most of which are at Schwab or in our Barrington Bank and Trust money market. Running anywhere from 3.5% to just around 3.8%. So again, investments are going to continue to perform for us. And again, more money is going to come in September with the next installment. So these rates holding is obviously good news for that investment income number. That's all I have for the board tonight, but I'd be happy to take any additional questions.
You may have questions for James. Okay. James, thanks. Appreciate your time for calling in. I don't believe we need you for anything else. So.
Sounds good.
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night.
Thank you.
Take care,
Thanks,
everybody.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. That takes us to the Chief's report.
So one thing that James mentioned, I wanted to point out, he talked about how PBS sends out the updates as far as to how we should be supporting the GEMT initiative and making witness slips to our congressmen. I do that regularly. So I put in either a support or a oppose witness slip on various different issues that come up. The main one is GEMT. Definitely we oppose what they're trying to do. We would be very much in favor of them carving out local government. So I do keep abreast of that, and we are in touch with our representatives.
Do you write a letter? Or
So
is it like,
they will provide you with a link. It links you to
okay.
the legislative site, and then you can enter what they call a witness slip.
Mhm.
And it says, I am Michael Hill on behalf of Fox River Countryside, and we either oppose or support the legislation in question.
Okay.
In this case, we would oppose it.
Right.
Moving on to administration. As you know, the annual budget ordinance was finalized at last month's meeting, and things are looking very good a couple months into the year. We had multiple employee interviews this month. Actually, we had one of the best responses that we've had yet since I've been here. Almost had an embarrassment of riches as far as people applying. We got several paramedics, we've got several people with engine operating experience, and we've got enough to fill all of our open spots. 2 of them have already come on board and are working their shift. Another 2 are being trained up this week and will be ready to go as of Friday. And we've got another 5 starting orientation next week. So between all those people, we're going to really beef up our manning It's gonna cut overtime tremendously because we have more people available, and I think you're gonna be really happy with what you see in the coming months. Operations, this past month was really busy. We had quite a few storm events. We had quite a few significant events. For example, we had construction crews hit a gas main on Route 64, resulting in an evacuation and shutdown of the area for most of the day. We were able to mitigate that with the help of utility companies, no injuries, no other property damage. We had a microburst affect the area of Route 64 and Dean Street. Some of you might be aware of that. Multiple trees down, wires down, some damage to residential structures. We also had a tree fall down on a car. The occupant was removed and transported with non-life-threatening injuries. We responded mutual aid to Bartlett for a tornado incident in the area of Stearns Road and Route 59, causing some pretty significant damage. I personally responded to a gas leak with the guys here on Rochefort Lane and Wayne, something I had never seen before. A lightning strike actually ruptured and ignited a residential underground gas line, resulting in a nice little fireball, and let that burn off for a while until NICOR could come out and shut it down. We also responded to an RV on fire on Marguerite Street. It was actually in a building there. We pulled it out before the building could become involved, extinguished it before the RV could be completely destroyed. There was some damage. They had a few batteries in the back of the RV that ignited and caused some interior damage. But all in all, it was a very good save. Guys did a great job. Couple of water incidents this month. We responded mutual aid to Elgin to assist with their water rescue incident. They had I believe it was a male in the water. Someone saw him go down and they were never able to recover the body. They could not find him and they ceased operations. Our event, we had unfortunately a deceased victim found in the river. We responded and it was mainly in a recovery mode. We assisted Kane County sheriffs, recovered the victim, and were able to mitigate that. And then finally, some more heavy storm activity resulted in multiple wind damage call, including one incident of a large tree down in a house on Wabash Avenue. That was the real deal. A large tree came down on the roof, damaged the roof, damaged the kitchen ceiling. We had water pouring into the ceiling. The two residents were not hurt. They were relocated immediately to a hotel, and we put them in touch with tree removal experts that came out the next day and helped them clean that up. Other than that, mostly routine for the rest of the month. Fleet activity was pretty minimal. Some training events. DC Niesel and I went to a line of duty death seminar the other day. That was very informative. We had 4 of our members attend Swiftwater training, and we had one guy complete his fire apparatus engineer certification. So lots of activity, lots of movement in the right direction.
Just because I don't know, what was the seminar that you and Niesel did? What was that about?
So it's not fun to talk about, but it's a line of duty death seminar.
Mm-hmm.
And in the event that we should have a member deceased or seriously injured, they teach you what you should be doing in the immediate term, in the short term, in the medium term, so on and so forth. It's a real eye-opener. There's a lot of things that need to be done right away. There are a lot of things that need to be done correctly in order to stave off any embarrassment, awkwardness, or hurt feelings. So it's definitely something that, although we don't like to think about it, we should be prepared for it and hope we never have to use it.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chief? Okay. Thank you, Chief. That will take us to the attorney's report.
Just a couple of things on a GMT, and first of all, my name is Joe Miller. I think I've seen some or all of you at conferences over the years, but John had a family event tonight, so that's why I'm here. And I live not too far away. But GMT, like the chief said, is can do this witness slips. Chief McManus from Naperville, actually, was a conference. I don't know if were you there. And one of the things, I wasn't there, I actually saw him later that day, but I didn't know about the thing, is that there are some places that have an extremely high GMT rate. I don't know what yours are, but my understanding is the averages are usually in between 2,800 to 3,800. And I was told that from some other chiefs who were there that there's a couple of places in the state that are at 15,000, and that there are a couple of places in DuPage County that are over 6,500. So, like the idea is that, it shouldn't be that vast of a difference in your cost and everything. So That's one of the driving forces. So, you know, doing a witness slip will help a lot. If they do a local government carve out, then that'll obviously exempt you, but still, they're gonna watch what your rate is and everything. You can't be at 15,000 or probably even 6,000. There's been a lot of talk about over the last year and a half about this, a class action lawsuit for if you bought piece of apparatus. I will send out a client alert, but the meetings I'm going to talk to one of the attorneys who's on it tomorrow, because they reached out to me and a couple of our attorneys asking about it. So it's a 4-year, really a 4-year statute of limitations. So we're looking, my homework assignment for you guys is if you've bought apparatus in the last 4 years, I'd like to know. I'm planning on having a conference call with one of these attorneys tomorrow to make sure I get all of the apparatus companies that are covered. He sent me an email with them, but what I'm gonna do is, once I talk to him tomorrow, I'll probably have a law clerk prepare a client alert saying, all right, if you've got Pierce or whatever, and something in the last 4 years, let us know so we can find out if you are able to join as a member of this, this lawsuit. They actually did, and when there were so many lawsuits filed across the country, they did what we call the MDL, which is a multi-district litigation review. And so there was cases in Wisconsin, cases in Kansas, there was talk about cases being filed in Illinois. So ultimately, the court came down, it was either going to be the Northern District of Illinois, which is Chicago, the Eastern District, Wisconsin, which is Milwaukee, or in the district in Kansas, which is actually out of, I think it's in Kansas City, but it could be a little bit west of there. Because there are also some courts, there's some cases on the West Coast as well, and they thought, let's try to be centrally located. They ultimately decided with the district in Wisconsin, out of Milwaukee, which actually for us is not bad because we're close by. We were really hoping that it was going to be in Chicago because most of the people in our firm are members of the federal bar at the Northern District of Illinois, and it would be just easier, like if we found out there's a hearing, we can go by and find out what's going on. When it's out of state, we're really going to rely on what they're telling us. So I'll be getting something over to the chief about that, you know, once we have this meeting with the guy tomorrow and find out specifically what's entailed, and then you can let us know what you have.
Does that include fire apparatus and EMS ambulances?
Yeah, I think, you know, because for the most part, you probably even on, you chase your apparatus on an EMS call.
Mhm.
But really, I say fire apparatus, but it's really apparatus as a whole. I'm not sure how much they're going into ambulances, but I know for sure they're doing the major pieces, but that's one of the questions I have for them. I do believe that the ambulance purchases should qualify, but without having talking to the lawyer, I don't know for sure.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Takes us to the president's report. We completed the chief's annual review. And then we actually had a follow-up meeting. So I need to just tighten up my letter, and then I will send that over to you for your file.
Okay.
Okay?
Will we get a copy of that as board members?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I'll just send it to, or maybe I'll send it to Tracy to send it to the board and to the chief, so everyone gets it at one time. Okay. All right, that's all I have for the president's report. That takes us to our consent agenda. Are there any items anyone would like pulled? Oh, okay. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through C? Mr. Gaffney?
Second.
Mr. Kennedy? Tracy?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Kennedy was second, Mr. Gaffney was the motion.
Trustee Gaffney?
Yes.
Trustee Kennedy?
Yes.
Trustee McManus?
Yes.
Trustee Manheim?
Yes. All right, motion passes, thank you. All right, that takes us to item 5, which is our 4 action items. Our first item up for discussion tonight is item A, which is the discussion and possible approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Fox River Countryside Fire Rescue District and the St. Charles Park District. Chief?
So if you're not aware, the agreement is the St. Charles Park District has fuel pumps basically right across from Station 3. They have allowed us to use their fuel pumps there. So for example, our Station 2 vehicles could go there and refuel so that they didn't have to come all the way across the district. They just want to renew the agreement because it hasn't been looked at for many years. It's definitely out of date, definitely time to renew it. And we do not have an issue with that, except for it looks like we're going to be putting in fuel pumps at Station 3. We were basically given direction last meeting, and I think we're gonna confirm tonight that we're gonna put those fuel pumps in at Station 3, making it kind of unnecessary for us to use the Park District's fuel facilities. And honestly, it's a little bit of a burden on them for our bigger vehicles to use their fuel pumps because they have to make sure we don't drain them down. They have to make sure that they replenish. So we don't have any type of animosity or problem with them. It's just we really don't have a need for the agreement anymore. They wanted to renew it anyway based on the fact that it's probably going to take us a month or more to get our fuel pumps into action and serviceable. I'm going to recommend that we don't renew the agreement. And the reason is there's a provision in here that if there has to be any equipment upgrades or replacements, that we would share the cost 50-50. Just so that we don't muddy the waters. If something were to come up in the next month or so, we don't want to be hit with that expense for buying equipment that we're not ever going to use. Also, if it should be necessary for us, we can always fuel at Station 1 in the meantime. It won't be for very long. It's not a huge inconvenience. So we definitely have all our bases covered. If you'd like me to go any more into the agreement, I can try, but that's kind of the entire deal in a nutshell.
Yeah, my only question was gonna be, would there be any additional burden on Station 1?
Not really. We've got plenty of fuel here at Station 1. The Station 2 vehicles can come here and fuel up in the meantime. And also, if we don't renew the agreement tonight, what I would suggest is that we give our written 30 days notice to the Park District. That'll actually give us an additional 30 days before the contract ends.
Okay. I know it's jumping a little bit ahead, but if the fuel pump station or fuel pump install at Station 3 were to be approved, how long would you anticipate construction?
So I'm going to throw that one up to Trustee Gaffney to help me out with. He's been working a lot on helping to get the quotes, and you might have a better idea of what kind of time frame we're looking at. If you don't let me put you on the spot.
I would say after you redo the contracts, that biggest concern is gonna be the tanks themselves, but according to Mike, that they're pretty much ready, available. So I would say at the outside, 45 days at the most. I mean, if concrete's not gonna take long, a little bit of electric, then we got the guy that put up the guardrails in Northern Contracting on the Sycamore. Those guys, it's just bang, bang, bang. Each guy, electrician a day, a concrete guy, give him 5 or 6 days, but in Northern, give it an 8 and a half. And then set the tanks and get it programmed and go. So I would say 45 days would be a stretch. So
we're looking at 15 to 30 days
Something.
after the 30-day.
Yep,
Okay.
not a problem.
Any other questions or comments pertaining to the intergovernmental agreement?
Well, what if would it be possible to keep that agreement without that little stipulation as far as the cost? Just as we understand that we're get our own pumps.
Mhm.
What if, I'm just throwing it out there as a what if, we're not gonna come there in an emergency or something like that, say, hey, just make life easy for everyone, go across the streets, basically. Without
So-
that caption of the cost.
Your problem may be that since the language you have is that, then you're doing the same thing tonight, you'd be not approving it tonight because you need to get their approval to do that. I hear you, that makes perfectly great sense to me,
I'm just
But-
throwing it out there like, hey,
yeah.
you know what?
but since we have an agreement, they've actually already signed it.
Oh,
So we'd have to, go back and say, hey, let's redo this thing.
And renegotiate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Just
I
throwing it out
wouldn't
there.
recommend it.
So I don't think it's the end of the world, but it's just one of those options, that's all I'm looking at, so. I'm fine with the other one.
Yeah, I'm fine with the OHE for sure.
Okay. So then I'll need a motion to
No, just don't take action. So
Oh, just don't
the
take
minutes will reflect, that what we'll do is the minutes are gonna reflect that it's just table pending what happens, because let's say you guys approve the pump review next, the pump installation next, but then we find out it's gonna be 4 months. Well, then we can bring it up.
Sure.
You know, I don't think that's
No, but
you're not the
yeah,
first
the what
district
ifs,
to
yeah,
do a
sure.
pump installation, but let's just have it tabled.
Okay.
And then if we, everything works out, then we'll just end up removing it from the agenda.
Okay. Do we need to let the park district know that we tabled it?
Yeah, I would let them know,
Okay.
for sure, just for purposes that you're, governmental entities working together, so.
Mhm.
And what is, I don't know how to phrase the question, but what do we tell the park district in the meantime? Because they're looking for an answer one way or the other right now. I don't know that they're gonna want to just keep kicking the can down the road.
Right, I think you tell them, like, right now, listen, the board approved, if you talked to them, Robert, last night, the board approved for us to actually install our own pumps. We're hoping to have this within the next 30 days. We're okay with, doing the extension, if you guys wanna do that as an action item, and it's just to approve the 30-day extension or whatever, or is it just a notice, actually, you just gotta give them notice?
We just have to give them notice.
Okay. But we need to, if something changes, we'll put this back on for approval of the IGA, because, yeah, you're right, like, if you're gonna install your own pumps, the idea of doing another year or 2-year agreement, because John sent me an email on it, is not necessarily, doesn't make a ton of sense, right? So I think that's what you tell them, like, listen, the board, we talked about this, because this is probably what's happened is doing this has brought up the conversation in your mind of like, what if we did our own fire pumps, right?
And honestly, I've already spoken with, her name's Laura Rudo, I believe is her name. She knows where we stand. I was completely upfront with her. I said, we're probably putting in our own pumps. And her idea was she wanted to go ahead and get their end approved first and then see what we came back with. So I'll just let her know where we stand, and she's been very cooperative. Has any animosity with anyone else. So it should be okay.
We are gonna set the 30-day notification. Right?
That's up to you. You need to give me direction.
Yeah, just a direction.
I would prefer we send it.
Okay.
I mean, if we approve the gas
That's what I
pump
was, yeah.
installation,
Yeah.
we send the 30-day notice.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I like it because it gives them an answer.
Right,
It doesn't leave them hanging.
All right. So that closes our discussion for item B. Item B is the discussion and possible approval of fuel pump installation at Station 3.
Okay, so I did send out all of the quotes that we have. I'm hopeful that everyone was able to look at them. I can go into as much detail as you like, but if you're a bottom line kind of person, we're looking at a total project cost of just shy of $25,000 for the initial install, plus $400 a month for about 33 months for tank leasing. Feast did offer us a deal that rather than putting out a large sum of money up front, they would put us on a lease to own program, which basically just spreads those costs out over the next few years, making it very manageable, and it's kind of a nice thing for us.
That's 3 years.
33 months, a little less than 3 years.
Any other?
I would say that, let's make the approval 30,000, just give us a little flexibility in case we run into something for the total installation.
So like a not to exceed.
Again, when you're doing underground work, I get a little concerned once in a while that, where the conduits are, we're gonna try to locate them tomorrow. Because I'm concerned about the fence guy, where we don't have to pound and where we have to dig. So there may be some verification, so just give us a little flexibility in case we have some upcharges from one of the contractors.
Okay. So. Can I see that? Is that your-
That's my notes, the middle one.
No, I'm trying to figure out how to word the. Okay. Then do I have a motion to approve the fuel pump installation at Station 3 with an estimated cost not to exceed $30,000.
Okay, was that, I thought I heard a $40,000 figure too, though, did I? Okay, then I.
No, there was a $400 per month
Okay, okay.
lease fee, which
Okay,
that
gotcha.
doesn't need to be on the motion.
No, I would, I'll motion to approve the, fuel pump installation not to exceed, $30,000 and then authorizing entering into a lease agreement for $400,000.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gaffney?
Second.
Mr. McManus? Thank you. Jason?
Trustee Gaffney.
Yes.
Trustee Kennedy.
Yes.
Trustee McManus.
Yes.
Trustee Matt.
Yes. Motion passes.
We'll get on it tomorrow.
All right, thanks. That takes us to item C, the discussion and possible approval for the replacement of the HVAC system at Station 1.
So what we're talking about here is the big rooftop unit, which isn't on the roof, it's on the ground, but it's out back of Station 1 here. We have significant repairs every year on that thing. It's cost us several thousands of dollars every year, and it goes out in the summer and it goes out in the winter, which are both problems. We've been told for years that it's time to replace this thing, and I have just come to the point where I think we would be better off replacing it now rather than keeping to throw money at it to try to repair it when it just continues to break down. We got 3 different quotes. One, we have HVAC unit, $26,733. That includes everything except for permits, so it does include the crane rental. It does include the warranty, everything else that comes with it. They also quoted a dehumidifier system, which is optional, for $67.81. I'm gonna recommend that we hold off on the dehumidifier system. I'm told that if the unit is right-sized for the building, the dehumidification might not be necessary. So we can always put in later, but once you buy it, you bought it. The other quotes for the same work and the same type of unit are $33,000 and $40,000 respectively. Obviously, I'm gonna recommend that we go with the $26,733 quote. It is with a reputable company. And I see no downside to having them do the work for less money.
They're pulling permit.
I don't know if they do it or we do it, but I did ask him how much they thought the permit would cost. He said it was on the order of $100 to $200.
I was gonna say less than 4.
Yeah, so it's throughout the scope of the whole project.
Typically,
it's
they
not-
would pull it.
Good, that's one less thing for me to do. So,
But I would double check with them to make sure that.
absolutely. Yeah.
Since this wasn't, put in, this year's budget, where are you gonna get some, what?
So we actually have the bond referendum money has to be spent on capital projects. There's quite a bit left over and more than enough for this project. It actually would fall under the capital improvements for this year, which we budgeted, I believe it was $200,000.
Oh, okay.
So there's definitely room in the budget and we have the actual dollars to back it up.
So the bond money versus the, let me just start the maintenance,
The capital
the
budget,
capital budget. What would be the advantage to do it with the capital versus taking it out of the bond money?
there really isn't one. And in fact, I believe there's an advantage to taking it out of the bond money because the bond money can only be spent on capital projects. The other money, the capital money, I suppose those can only be spent on capital projects too, but if you don't spend the bond money, you give it back.
Well,
So
we got plenty of time on that.
we do, but it's a good place to invest that money. And whichever bucket we take it from, at the end of the day, doesn't really matter too much. My recommendation would be the bond money. Obviously, we could talk with James, the accountant, and see what he prefers, but
You know how much money we have left?
I don't know exactly how much right now. We'll have to run your report. It's in the order of several $100,000. And I know some of us have talked about lesser amounts. I think we're getting confused in the amounts of what we spent on Station 3 versus what we budgeted for Station 3. So they came out to be pretty close. We came in a little bit under budget, but there's still additional bond money out there. I can get you an exact report. I'm probably gonna need a little bit of help from the accountant for to rectify all that,
And
but
next meeting, maybe you have that.
absolutely.
All right, thank you.
I think using the bond money's the right way, because the allocated money for capital improvements is just our general budget.
Right,
So
right.
might as well use the bond money, and maybe we don't need to use the other portion. of the
That's
budget.
my hope.
Right.
With capital improvement money, if we don't spend it all, we flip it into the next year.
Correct.
For the bond, might not be able to use.
For the bond, we should have, what, 13, how many years to pay?
You have
to
3
spend that
years
money?
usually for a bond. If you don't spend 85% in 3 years, then what happens, you have to do essentially an arbitrage. So any money at that point has to go into an account that's bearing and gaining more interest. So I don't know when you get your bond, because, obviously I'm not here on a monthly basis, but you have 33 or 36 months. I think it's 3 years. If you talk to Chapman, I think they've always told me 3 years.
Okay.
So,
Then
when
we
did
should
you do
use
it?
the bond money.
Huh?
Then we should use the bond money.
3 years from the issuance of the bond?
Not from the date of the bond referendum, but actually, the money to the bond sale.
Okay, so we don't, no, that was 24, so we basically have till next year at some point? Okay.
I'll have no problem spending it.
No, but I think that's a good,
Thank you, Joe.
good use of that money.
I think so. It's, it's something that honestly, we've been kicking the can down the road, trying to make that thing last longer so that we didn't have to spend the money on it. But now it's to the point where it's really a good idea to replace it. We've got the means, we've got everything we need. It's time.
And then my only other question, more just for knowledge, is when would they, pending approval, when would they be able to start?
That'll be a question for them, but I would say pretty quick. They have to order the equipment, obviously, but as long as it takes them to get the equipment in and schedule it up, I definitely think it's gonna be ready before we get through the hot weather.
What's the estimated shutdown time for the
I
station?
don't know. I'll have to ask them.
I want a cooler day.
Ideally, yes.
We'll survive.
We can always ship them over to
Easy
Station
for you,
3.
so you're at Station 2.
Right,
Or
three. Exactly, I'll mess that up, right?
What kind of warranty they're throwing?
I have to find out what they have.
I'm just curious.
Can I see, no, it's just like we get a motion. All right, do I have a motion to approve Mendel's proposal for 26,733?
That you might wanna put a little buffer in there as well.
Okay.
28, 29.
Yeah.
Okay,
Not to exceed.
okay. Do I have a motion to approve Mendel's proposal for the replacement of HVAC unit at Station 1 with a cost not to exceed 28,000?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Tracy?
Trustee Kennedy,
Yes.
Trustee McManus.
Yes.
Trustee Gaffney,
Yes.
Trustee Manheim.
Yes, motion passes. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there any old business? Okay. Any new business?
This is gonna sound weird, but I have some questions that possibly, some trustees might feel it's criticism towards them. And I don't know if that's something we can go in closed session.
It depends on, I don't know what the topic is, so it would depend on what the topic is. So the answer may be yes, it may be no. Like if it's just, like, hey, I think you made a bad decision on this, that's not a closed session topic. If you're talking about something with an appointment of someone where you have the power to appoint someone,
Yeah.
that's a closed session
I
topic.
just don't wanna
I
put
don't know
anybody on the
what,
spot or,
I don't know what
embarrass anybody or-
what you wanna
Yeah,
talk
just-
about, so.
yeah, I honestly don't think it falls within closed session, but I thought,
Yeah,
It
so
was-
then you would have I think your policy is, most of the boards that have that, have you guys just recently done the trustee comment 3 minute or something like that, or is that what you guys have for trustee? You don't have that
I
policy on
don't
there?
think so.
We don't have a time, no.
Yeah, okay. Most people have the thing where, you do the same or something like that.
Mhm.
I was thinking, because I know I talked to John about some for other clients, and I thought he was doing them for all of you guys.
We've talked about that for public comment, but never for trustee comment.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I have some concerns about some comments that's been made lately, and I want everyone to understand that I'm here for one reason, and that's for the best interest of the fire district, the citizens that live in our fire district. And of course, a second right behind that is the firefighters. Both of those two are my priorities as to why I sit on this board. I've had discussions about St. Charles Fire Department, and some of the comments or things that have happened really concerns me. As you know, historically, we had a real difficult time with St. Charles once we left the fire district, the fire district left St. Charles, and we've done a lot to repair those, the relationships, big time. I mean, complete turnaround where they're supportive of our fire district, and the unions are supportive of our fire district. And I think it's important that we continue to strengthen those relationships. And sometimes it means, having the chief have conversation with them. But there's times that maybe we can look at it differently where, for example, for you to have a discussion with them, not with the idea of criticizing or reviewing Chief Hill's performance or what their philosophical approach is, but more so to have a meet and greet and have a representative from the board to go in and say, hey, we've come a long ways. Is there anything we can do to strengthen our relationship even that much more? Or, is everything, where we should be? I don't think we're there yet. I think there's some issues that we could address, and hopefully someday we can get even a better relationship. And once again, this is not anything negative about you. I don't want you to take it that way. I know you've worked on, with St. Charles, and you guys got the door for communications that is open. But I think we can take one more step, and have someone from the board go on and sit down with the chief. Bob Hanley and Joe Shellstreet, the previous chief, used to meet. And there was no city councilman there. There was no mayor there. There was no city manager there. It was a one-on-one with the trustee and the president and the chief, and they got issues resolved by just simply them talking. It didn't need to have this hierarchy thing that, So we're in the process of doing that. Once again, for the simple sake of see if we can strengthen that, and then all of a sudden it stopped abruptly, and it was our end that stopped it. And since I was the one that got the two groups together, I was being kept in the loop as far as the conversation of what was going on. Chief Maldi agreed to meet, and dates were discussed, but all of a sudden our end just stopped communications, completely stopped it. Now, I don't think that reflects well on our fire district, especially with the history that we've had. And a simple phone call or an email could have just simply say, look, I've changed my mind or whatever, but to have done that, I just don't think it reflects well on our fire district, and it doesn't help to improve our relationships. So, I hate to ask why it didn't move on. I get it, you're the president, but on the other hand, you asked for that meeting to happen. You asked if I thought it would.
You asked if I would do it.
No, I told you my concerns, and you said, do you think that if I talked to the chief of St. Charles, would it help? And I said, it couldn't hurt.
Yes, correct.
Correct. Okay. So I didn't specifically say, hey, you need to talk. I just said I had some concerns. Okay. So I don't know. I think a discussion needs to be had with current chief of St. Charles and kind of explained what happened and where we're at and what we're willing to do. That's all.
I will reach out to him.
What issues does Chief Mothy have that he wants to discuss?
So that's a good question. I think that, he's not the one who asked for the meeting.
Who did?
Like we just said, we were talking. And I expressed my concerns about, we're not really, the last couple of years, we've kind of been stalemated as far as the relationship, as far as,
Right.
okay?
Mhm.
And I brought that concern up to President Mothy, or Mannheim here. And that's when he offered, do you think if I talk to him, we could kind of figure out, is there a way we can improve? And just simply show that, hey, we're all interested in having a better relationship. You can only do so much, and sometimes having someone coming in there with a, different perspective, or just, could help. It couldn't hurt. And if nothing comes out of it, then, there's not much we can do. And that's why I say, I don't want you to take any personal offense to it.
I don't. Honestly, I don't have any problem with Chief Mothy or with St. Charles. We've talked. I can't say that we're best of friends, but at the same time, we have a polite, at least friendly relationship with each other. I don't think they're ready to, in quotes, jump in bed with Fox River just yet. We did talk about them responding on our box cards. We asked them to respond on our general alarm level. They didn't want to do that. Chief Mothy felt that was moving a little too
But
fast.
we're on, box cards were, for the most part, we're good with that. We have box cards.
Yeah. It'd be great to have them on our general alarm.
Oh, of course.
For those who don't know, the general alarm is the initial alarm where they would come basically, when we get toned out, they come as well. They didn't want to commit to that, and that's okay. That's their choice. They are at our box levels on many of our cards, so, they're still participating. We don't have any problem when they show up. They do good work. When we show up for them, we do good work for them. I will say this, you guys have to make the decision ultimately. I can tell you if St. Charles mayor came and talked to me, I would have some problems with that because it's really doing a back end run on Chief Mothy.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I'm gonna, and look, I'm not here at every meeting, but I've been doing this for 30-something years. Chief talks to chief, is how it should be. So I respectfully, like if the board president wants to talk, then he should call either the village manager or really someone on the board and say, is it okay that we have a conversation? Because like for my purposes, I don't want to get the chief in St. Charles. What happens if the mayor from St. Charles finds out that Fox River Countryside board president went and talked to him? Maybe it doesn't, maybe it goes, no big deal. Maybe it becomes big deal. So like chiefs interact all the time. That's generally how it happens, but that's more of a policy decision. But like there is a kind of a chain and for each department, and what's typical is that the chiefs will talk. I mean, you probably see each other at a Mavis meeting, so there's not like they don't have meetings together. That's your choice. Like, if you want to talk to John, see what his opinion, what I typically see is that's how it works. But that's just Joe's opinion.
We calling them to have a meet and greet just to say, introduce myself.
There's a history here too.
I'll defer.
that's
I don't wanna talk, I don't wanna talk
But
business.
that's where I
If you're
believe
going
it's
to do a meet and greet, I would absolutely recommend you at the very least have me there as well.
Mhm.
And
I
it can
think the
be
chief
more,
initiated.
yes. You may want to have his elected official there for a meet and greet as well. It's unorthodox. I've never done something like this before.
Well, let me back up for a second. Being the oldest sitting member here on the department, is that when we initiated this, whether I was dealing with Cox or I was dealing with Auburn or West Chicago,
Mhm.
I never approached the fire chief. I always approached the president of the board or the mayor. And when we would meet with the fire chief, we would take the chief along, meaning Benson at the time. Nobody, as far as I'm concerned, as a board member, as an individual, to instigate anything over and above the board. We are a board, we act as one, we make the decisions here as one. I don't see any need for our board president to sit down and meet with the chief in St. Charles.
but you feel it's okay for you to meet with the mayor.
What's that?
It's okay for you to sit down and talk to the mayor.
We went through this the other
We
day. I
did go
told
through
you
this
point
thing.
blank.
Well,
I
wait a
said to
minute.
this point,
That's two different
stop.
things.
It is, because the
Don't
mayor is the
start.
one that.
You want your-
Hold on.
Stop,
You
guys.
don't
The
threaten
mayor
me.
is a board member. The mayor is part of their, essentially their council that makes a vote. One of your board members talking to somebody on their board or the mayor, I don't have an issue with. I have an issue with the idea of the board president going to their employee. Like, I think he's not an employee of, the mayor's not an employee of the city of St. Charles, even though he may get some compensation, and you guys get some compensation. But it's not like the total, so I do think it's different. I don't want this to become a shouting match over it. You know, my opinion is that you let the chiefs do it. If you guys want to do it, that's fine. That's more of a board policy, but I do think it's, at the very least, if it's something you really want to go forward on, you could ask that the city, have the board president can talk to the mayor, or about maybe having a fire department liaison, somebody who could come to your meetings, and maybe you would have someone go to your meetings. But in regards to, like, if it's about operational stuff, that's chief to chief. If it's about, just, maybe community things that you guys could work together on, sure, I guess. But if it's gonna be about operational stuff, let the chiefs have that conversation, and I get it. I know that you said there's a history, of course there's a history, you're close to it, and you guys are, based on my knowledge of you, just because of some of the things you've done in the last few years, yeah, you probably had even more involvement with them maybe 4 or 5 years ago than you do now. But those things have changed. That's my opinion.
So what you're telling me is, if I want to have a meeting with the mayor as a trustee, I can, without the approval of this board, I can go in and sit down.
As an individual, you're an individual, so they
But
can't
I'm
stop you.
representing the board.
No, you're not, you're representing yourself. And then you can report to the board that you had a conversation, and you don't have the power to take any action. So you could go meet with the mayor, and you could say, well, I'm gonna get the board to do ABC. You come back here, and the board says, we ain't doing ABC, then you just had a meeting with the mayor. But when you go there and you talking with when you have one of them talking to one of their employees, then
So what's the difference between, if he just has a conversation and no decisions made, nothing?
Right, he can have that with the mayor. I'm saying,
But
I
he
don't
can't
have a
have it
problem
with
with
the chief.
that. I have a problem with you having it one of their employees as the chief. Like, I think the chief's right in regards to the point, like, if you found out that St. Charles mayor came and talked to him, you guys probably would want to know right away what had happened. Well, probably can't do that just because of the way the Open Meetings Act works. But, now he's getting in trouble. Why put him in that position? Whether you know the chief or not, maybe the chief is your best friend, I don't know.
Okay, so this is obviously a learning process for me as well, and like I said, I was simply going on from
Yeah.
previous times, so I've learned tonight, and I get it. Like I said, this wasn't by no means trying to undermine you or anything, it's just that, I was asked and if I thought it would help, and I said it couldn't hurt. My concern is, okay, let's put it where it should be, okay, but I think we need to reach out to St. Charles and say, hey, sorry, I didn't get back with you sooner. After we started having dialogue and just simply blow it off, I don't think that's, so a simple emails, I'm sorry that, I overstepped my boundaries or whatever. I think that's in order. Because right now, it's like,
What is the problem that we're looking to solve with St. Charles?
is trying to get to the point, I know you said we don't need St. Charles, quote, we don't need St. Charles.
We don't.
Well, the point is simply, we would be nice to get to the point where we can, just have the relationship and get to the point where the general arms, that's my biggest concern. It would be nice to have St. Charles.
We have that.
St.
now.
Charles has will respond on the very first alarm, like a house fire. Like the house fire by Mike, right next door to me. St. Charles could have easily beat them, maybe. They're pretty close. I don't know, but they've been right behind them, right?
I'd love to have minor general alarms.
And, yeah, that would be, and that's the ultimate goal for me, is to get that, to have that happen.
So
Nothing more, it has nothing more than that. Like I said, I'm here representing the citizens of this fire district. And if it's beneficial for them to be on the general alarm tone, which it is, then that's my goal. That's what I want to see before I get off this board.
So there's a couple things here at play. First of all, the invitation has been extended. They weren't ready to accept the invitation to come on our generals, that's okay, that's their call. That is an open invitation. If they ever change their mind and would like to come, they're more than welcome to come. The other thing that I know is a concern is it has to be reciprocal. So yes, they'll come on our generals, yes, we'll go on their generals, but is it a fair trade? Are they getting as much bang for their buck as we are? One of the things I know they're concerned about, if they come to help us 30 times and we go to help them 3,
Right.
it's not an equivocal trade.
Right.
And I think that might be some of their concern. So some of the things that we've talked about, and I'm more than happy to pursue this route, is starting with the water incident. It's a piece of cake. We're both going to essentially the same water. We're both gonna be working the same incident. We're both gonna be working together.
I understand, but it's totally different. One's hydrant, one's sending
No,
water.
no, river incident.
Oh,
water
river
rescue
incident.
incident.
Okay, gotcha.
Forget about the fire calls right now. Let's start small on something that's
We
not.
guys are working together on that right now.
We do, but
No,
there-
I saw that email, and there's a little bit of a hiccup here recently,
uh,
and that's between the two of you.
I'll be very honest with you. It's you play in your sandbox and we'll play in ours. It's territorial. My personal view, this is just Mike Hill, is I really don't care whose incident it is. If there's someone in the water, let's pluck them out. If you want us to be in charge, we will. If you want to be in charge, you can be, but let's just work together and get the person out of the river. That's, ego
But
does
there was
not
a-
play into my
There was
job.
there was a little bit of a hiccup, that's. all
It
I'm saying.
happens.
Yeah.
The last river incident we had, there was a big hiccup and it was unfortunately a data error on
Right,
dispatch
that's what I'm
side.
talking about.
And it was a big hiccup. They wound up calling just about everybody from St. Charles. And when we looked into it, well, why did this happen? It's very convoluted, but because one piece of data didn't exist, the code, the computer code, didn't know who it was supposed to call.
Right.
So it called the first people it found, and it happened to be St. Charles. So it's just unfortunate, that's the way it went down. But I explained it to Chief Moffey, and I believe that was the end of it.
Yeah.
So,
And I appreciate the email. that
Thanks.
you forwarded.
you know, there is history there, absolutely, and I think there's a lot of caution there, but I've never had a crossword with Chief Moffey. We don't necessarily agree on things. I'd love to have them coming here. I'd love to be helping them on their calls too. And I think we're gonna get there, but we'll keep working on it. I understand where you're coming from with using other avenues, and I don't think
Yeah.
that's a bad thing, but I can tell you,
had
I would be very offended if their mayor came to talk to me.
I see your perspective. I
And-
had good intentions.
I know you did.
And I did, but I didn't offer the meeting, that's my point. I didn't say, hey, we need to do this. And nothing, I'm not trying to, you're new to this and, you know, it's not your area, you know, you're accustomed with working with the fire service and all that. It happened, but all I ask is, it won't happen again, you know, I won't, if someone said that, hey, we talked to the chief, I would say, you know what, it's not. But this time, it was like, since there was history, since Bob Hanley would go over there without anybody else, it was like, you know, without having somebody there and talking to Joe Shelstreet, which was the chief of St. Charles at the time, we had our president go over there and have conversation with him.
Sure.
So there was history there, so to me, it was an honest, you know, I had good intentions, let's just fix the problem, let's work together. There's nothing more, nothing less than that. Like I said, my biggest concern, and it should be with the entire board, and I hope it is the citizens of this fire district.
Absolutely.
And also the firefighters over here, because if St. Charles responds, they're getting extra manpower to help, you know, you guys,
Mhm.
right? And it's a win-win situation for us. And that's all my goals, intentions are.
They are always welcome.
Okay.
All right,
Point of clarification, we have offered that though,
Yes, we have.
and right now, their position on this is not yet.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's all I want to know. Thank you.
But we do, they are on the box alarm cards.
Yes.
all right. Our next board meeting is Tuesday, August 11th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn at 7 p.m.?
Motion.
One of you?
Everyone wants to stay.
You can do it too.
I'll second it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's her.
Can I second?
Please.
Oh, yeah, all in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
7.
7 PM. We are adjourned. Thank you.